Kelly. We're back here together. I'm so excited to see you today.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a great holiday weekend. We raised a bunch of money for animal rescue here in East Texas. Had some clients donate their whole house and consign with us a bunch of furniture. So we were busy over the weekend.
That is a lot of money. Now, is that an organization particular?
We are a 501c3. We have our own. It's called Wags of East Texas, which is the dog and cat thing. Well, what we do is we help spade neuter animals, homeless animals, or people that need help with spade neutering.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, we have people like senior citizens sometimes that will get a dog. We had one recently that got a dog that wandered up, but she kind of fell in love with the dog, but couldn't really afford to vet it and spade it. And so we took it and did it for her and brought it back, and she was just happy as could be.
Do y'all have a physical location?
Oh, yeah. We are in, Wax Boutique is actually in the Burkfield Center.
Okay, Wags Boutique.
And it is full of cool stuff. I mean, we have got some of the most beautiful things in there. It can go anything from high-end artwork all the way to a great coffee cup even.
Okay, so people, do they donate these things there?
Both. Donate or consign.
Okay, and then y'all sell them and that all goes to?
All goes to the charity, yes.
That's great.
Yeah, we've been doing this a couple of years now. Wags has been around a long time, but longer than that because this was a source where we raised money for animal rescue. And then we opened the boutique almost 2 years ago.
Okay, I've heard of it too, but there was a thing that went around a few years ago maybe about there was some guys here in town that got national publicity. It was for pets, I think. And I don't know if it was y'all's organization, but, there was some nude, kind of, partial nude.
Listen to this. Partially nude.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So and I think it was all men, yeah.
Yeah, it was our calendar. We raised a lot of money with that calendar.
I bet.
Yeah. We had a great art and marketing department that put that together right here. And we had people like Steve Conaway, Sheriff J.B. Smith, Mundo from Villa Montez.
Right.
It was city people that were well known in this community posed for this calendar. And what happened is one of them was on a board. Aubrey Sharp was on a board.
That's right.
And somebody didn't like it. And so it actually made national news. And boy, did we ever sell a lot of calendars because of that. It was great.
Yeah.
It was
People can be a little uptight.
A little bit uptight, but, it didn't hurt anything. We raised a bunch of money for the dogs. And nobody was really nude, y'all. Nobody was nude.
Well, it was nothing. Yeah. They were very gracefully covered.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was wonderful. Anyway. So.
Well, we do the podcast, of course, and then you're so nice to have me over to your place here at least once a month, and we have a good group of people that turn out. They're all, I think, looking to better themselves.
Oh, I got to tell you, my husband's wanting to train with you.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
He's wanting to get his golf swing better.
Ooh, I've got the girl
Stronger.
for him. Yeah, we have a trainer that
does specializes in golf swings. All right.
Yeah,
He's ready.
Okay.
Ready.
I don't know much about golf. I can help him with some things, but I'm not sure about golf swings. Okay. I only play Wii golf.
Wii golf. Oh, my. Yeah. But you got a girl that specifically can help him with hitting the ball.
Oh, yeah. She went to the whatever it is, like the championship of the collegiate golf and 2 years in a row and was ahead on the last hole both times by 2 or 3 strokes and ended up not winning.
Wow.
And so we've talked a lot about behavioral modification and learning to not get your head in the game, but get your head out of the game. Muscle memory. Just let the club do what it does.
You're so right. You're so right.
But she just won the Holly Tree golf tournament they had 2 weeks ago, I think. Okay. So she's excellent. She's really good.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. That'd be great.
So, but we have people that come in here, like I said, that are professionals. And, I'm always, and you are too, we're always talking about how, elevate. We want to elevate ourselves. And I think one of the big things we can do is to get out of our head a little bit more, stop with all the thoughts, or become more aware of the thoughts, which seems like a contradiction, but I'll explain that. Having better interpersonal relationships, be it with your clientele, your employees, your husband or your wife, we can all do better in that part. And I think if one of the big problems we have is that we're so distracted You know, we're walking down the hallway on our phone. We may not say hi to somebody who gets offended, or you see a client out that you kind of ignored. You didn't really ignore them. It's just that you were distracted because we had something else going on. So we have a lot more things going on in our life now than times before. And so they're saying that the preoccupied mind only becomes aware when it's over. Right? So we're preoccupied with all these things we have to do during the day, and we miss out a lot on the moment. And it could be that dinner out with your family or with an important client. And so really it's going to, you know, I want to talk about some things and different forms of therapy that are used. And I don't even like to use the word therapy because that seems like I've got a problem. And really, you know, in life coaching or coaching in general, what you're doing is you're learning to some of these tools that we can have readily available. So when we start catching ourselves doing these things, and what I like to do is have people catch themselves ahead of time. And so the main two forms I wanted to talk about was, one is CBT, it's cognitive behavioral therapy. And that was developed in the 60s by a guy named Aaron Beck. And he was very instrumental in putting together the way we think. And he came up with, it's called the cognitive triangle. We've talked about that before. But the general flow of thought is there's a thought, which elicits an emotion, which then elicits a behavior. Okay, so there's that triangle that we have there. And that's true to some degree, but I'm going to talk about some ways that we can change that behavior a little bit. Now, in the I think in the 70s, I think there was a guy named Albert Ellis, who he was famous for REBT, and that's rational emotional behavioral therapy, and it's very, very similar to cognitive behavioral therapy. It's just we've got to become more aware of what we're thinking. And I know that sounds contradictory. People go, I know what I'm thinking. Well, we really don't know what we're thinking. And again, it's because of the distraction. We'll pick up on some of the highlight thoughts that we may have, but there's a lot of internal dialogue going on that is just, it's just like a tape recorded machine. And people don't realize that tape recording started in our youth. You know, and neuroscientists say that our behavior, our I should say our personality is developed by 8 years old. So we kind of are who we are, and then what we do is we add and take away certain things as we go. But there's this core development that occurs, and it's by 8 years old, and that depends on what type of family you were raised in, maybe an overbearing mother or an absentee dad, maybe there was alcoholics in your family. So it varies a lot. And that child, a lot of his way of thinking as an adult is working off of that foundation at that 8-year-old. And so we have a lot of, it's called cognitive distortions. One of the things I always tell people is that don't believe everything you tell yourself. So we're clarifying and evaluating what we're talking about. And that's cognitive behavioral therapy. There's one more that I wanted to mention, and it's DBT. It's dialectical behavioral therapy. And that was by a lady named Marcia Linen. And it's a little bit more, cognitive behavioral therapy is more where you're ready for change. And you don't BS me, just give me what I need. And I think that's where most people think they are. The problem is when you start giving them what they need or telling them some of their things they could work on, they get very offended. And so then you've got to back up and maybe use the DBT. It's a little bit more subtle. There's like 4 practical things that they implement. One is mindfulness, just being aware, interpersonal effectiveness. You know, how am I with myself and how am I with others? Emotional regulation. You know, sometimes we just explode on things that really we shouldn't explode on. We're just on the edge. In stages of change, one thing is called pre-contemplation, and that is where if I bring up the word, you know, if I bring up nutrition and somebody just goes off, well, I don't need to worry about that, or I'm fine the way I am. That's someone who's in a pre-contemplative mode. They are not ready for change, and that's kind of like a hot button or a trigger that you've evoked in this person, and they're just not ready to hear it. so you know where they're at. And all of these things are good because it lets you know who the individual is and what tools I need for that individual. So it's kind of cool once you start to get this down. And this is a do-it-yourself project, okay? So, but once you start getting it down for yourself, it's really interesting how you see it in others. You're like, ooh, I remember I used to respond that way. And Da Vinci had a great quote. He said, I awoke to find the rest of the world was still asleep.
How interesting.
And so you have this like epiphany or this awakening where you start seeing like maybe from a different vantage point above, not that you're better than, but that you see the games that are going on and being played. And it's almost like you're predicting.
I think when you deal with the public and you deal with, a lot of times we are dealing with people with their biggest investment. And you get to see a side of people that normally you wouldn't see on a day-to-day basis. And especially if there's a challenge that comes up in the middle of it. And even employees. I mean, when you start working with people on a day-to-day basis, that, training people. I know you have a person probably for an hour at a time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, and then we have them all day long, a lot of times, every 5 days a week. And so you get to know their personalities a little bit.
I know that when I go in and I talk to somebody about nutrition and exercise, I'm trying to find out a lot more than what somebody's weight and body fat is. I'm trying to see how they answer me, how they respond, and that lets me know the path I'm going to take as far as, do I give them all of the food list right now? Do I wait and say, look, let's just get started. Right now, what I want you to do is I want you to start with eating breakfast every morning. I mean, it might be as simple as that. And because most people coming in, there's some anxiety. They're coming in because they are overweight or they have a health issue, a health problem that their doctors referred. And so there's some anxiety because they're coming to a guy that's going to tell them they can't do any fun stuff anymore.
That's why I don't go see him. That's why I don't go see you. Truly, Kelly, I mean, I don't go see you because I don't really need to lose a lot of weight, but I do need to get in better shape. But I don't want you to tell me what I can't eat anymore or have fun.
And see, that's not what I'm going to see. But that is the preconceived thought process. So when you come in, I'm already challenged because there's a wall that's up, and it's like, I just don't want to be here, and I don't want to hear this.
Well, my husband's going to come see you, and so that's going to be kind of a little bit of a And if he gets on that good eating habit, I'll get on the good eating habit with him. And I don't eat bad at all. I don't eat enough.
Sure, being more consistent, being more intentional with our eating. Most people can't believe that I have them set their alarm on their phone, because what we do is we just get to working, and then all of a sudden it's been 5 hours. Like, I need to eat something.
Yeah.
And at that point, again, the fight or flight mechanism is activated, and we usually eat more than we should.
Yeah.
It's hard to shut it off.
And the meal prep part of this, getting all your meal prep done.
It takes some it takes intention, and it takes some studying, because I need to.
There are companies that do meal prep, don't they?
There is some companies that do meal prep. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't think they do it as well as you could.
Okay.
And it's really expensive. I mean, the way that I eat is not expensive. And if I go get a meal prep, it's like probably $9 for a meal, which may not seem like a lot, but I mean, I just don't like wasting or spending in excess. And I can steam a whole pot of rice in 45 minutes that cuts off automatically if I have the right equipment. And then my chicken, I mean, I'm only looking at cooking it maybe 2 times a week. And, I resist
boiled or baked?
I do it on the grill.
Oh, okay.
And, I resisted for so long to listening to people because it just didn't make sense to me. And, if you get your grill going, if you get it up to about 325 to 350, and you put your chicken on there, you only have to have 4 minutes each side.
Okay.
And it is done, and it's moist.
Okay.
So it cooks really fast and it holds the moisture in. So we're talking 8 minutes. So it's really not that hard. And then you have other, maybe a shake, a protein shake. So you carry, Ziploc baggies of protein powder with you to the office. Maybe have a blender if you like it a certain way, have some fruit available. So it's really not that hard. And, it's something that I recommend, like an office like this. Hey, let's do this together.
I think we should. I really think we should.
I mean, make it, it's a challenge. We're all going to do better.
You weren't our speaker last Thursday, but we had actually a protein bowl with all the different toppings that people could choose from.
Excellent.
Added. So the next time you speak, we need to do that again.
Okay.
The protein bowls.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
That'd be great.
And learning about macronutrients. I'm getting off from
That's
from
all right.
behavioral, but the macronutrients. You got to have a carbohydrate, you got to have a protein, and you got to have a fat, and you need those with every meal. So
Maybe you can help us meal prep around here.
Well, I can give you examples.
Give us some tips on it.
Yeah, because it's not that hard. It's real
Okay.
simple. Once you get into the habit of doing it, you'll never not do it because it's so easy.
Okay.
And
What kind of chicken do you eat? Is it organic chicken or regular
No,
chicken?
just regular-
Okay.
regular chicken.
Like the big bags that are frozen?
yeah,
Each one's its
you can do
own?
the big bags that are frozen, or you can do just regular, like that has the styrofoam bottom.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, people, it's funny, they're like, well, I'm not going to eat chicken unless it's organic. But yet, you eat out 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, there's no telling what is in that food.
That's true.
But we're going to talk about this organic stuff over here. So, I even told a lady, she was telling me that at the restaurant that their chicken was hormone free. I said, well, God, I'd rather have hormones in my chicken. Just joking around. But because we're worried about a little dent in our door, and we haven't changed our oil in our car for like 2 or 3 years. And so there's bigger
That's a good
problems.
way to put it.
You
That's
know,
a good way to put it.
we need to focus on the things that. And when I say focus, we need to be honest and be aware of what it is that is preventing me from being where I want to be. Okay, so let me go back to that.
Okay.
With Aaron Beck, the cognitive triangle. There's a thought. So let's think. I want to do better I want to food prep. That elicits an emotion. Gosh, I just don't want to take the time to do it. That elicits the behavior. I just don't do it.
I don't want to eat boiled chicken.
I don't want to eat I don't want to eat boiled chicken either.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid you were eating is boiled chicken.
Yeah. Well, there's some people that do what is it called? A surrey, or I'm not real.
Sous vide.
Sous vide. Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, which is supposed to be excellent. I just don't. I'm in a hurry. I'm pretty
Well,
happy.
grilled, I could probably handle grilled.
Okay. But the thought is I need to eat better. The emotion or the thought, the emotion that goes along with that is that I just don't want to do it. It just doesn't sound good. And then the behavior is we just don't do it. Okay. I'm going to speak for myself. There was a time that I noticed that was the way that I work, and that's the way most people work. But there's a way we can bypass that. So what happens is a lot of times we get lost or stuck in the thought. I know I need to do this. I want to do this. We just keep on with the thoughts. So how can I change my behavior without the thinking? Okay, so there's something that I came up with, and it's like it's an acronym. I call it ATE. It's ATE. So it's action, thought, emotion. Okay, so I'll give you an example. When I have a group of people that I work out with about 2:00. I personally work out with. I have been training people I get in the gym at 4:30, and I've been training people up till 2:00. Now I have a lunch in there at 11. So I haven't had any time. And I remember I'm becoming aware of my thoughts. This is when I'm first implementing this for me. I was thinking that while I was training my person that, oh, here they come. I've been working all day long. A lot of these people probably just got up out of bed. I mean, I'm negative thinking, God, they're young. They're, probably haven't been doing anything. And I'm starting to feel sorry for myself, and God, I don't want to do this. I would rather just have an hour break to myself. People always say, you're lucky because you're in the gym, so it's easy to work out. No, it's really hard. After you've taken about 6 to 7 people through a workout, now to take yourself through one, it's really hard. So I was aware that I was doing this. And then what was funny is that even though I was talking like that, I'd go in and get my new shirt on, and I'd go in the gym and start working out. Well, about midway through my workout, I was like, wow, this is great. I'm feeling good and going through the workout. And then that created good thoughts or good emotions and good thoughts. And so what I've kind of put together for people is that if you're thinking and overthinking and you're thinking yourself out of it, then what I want you to do is I want you to act the way you want to be. Start acting the way that you want to be. So what is my goal? This is what I want. Okay, what would the actions look like if I was doing that? So rather than thinking I need to do this, I want to do that, you just start acting. So I need to get up a little bit earlier. Maybe I need to, I want a food prep, so I need to get up earlier and get my food together. Okay, you don't want to do that, then you need to do it the night before. So you start doing the things that you want to become rather than overthinking it. And then what happens is when you're in it, you start to feel better and you go, wow, this isn't really that bad. Because we talk ourselves out of things, the things that we want a lot, just with cognitive distortions. I'll get a lot, well, I don't feel like just eating chicken, rice, and vegetables. Say they're looking at what I do, which I always tell people, look, let's don't look at what I do. I've got a whole list of foods here for what I want you to do. Well, no, I want to do what you do. This is what I do. It's real simple. And they go, well, I can't do that. And I don't want to do that. Okay, you don't have to do that. That's not what I'm recommending. Let's take a look at these things. And so we're talking ourselves out of it before we even get involved in it. So you might call that distorted thinking. And what we might do is we might be black or white. Well, I don't want to eat chicken and rice. I just like steak, or I don't want to have to work out every day. You don't have to work out every day. And they go, well, you have to work out a lot. How's 2 hours a week? I mean, that's all you really need, okay, a minimum. 2 hours a week, that's not that much to ask. Or you catastrophize. I've done this before and it never works. Never works for me. Well, when you start looking and we start talking, well, tell me what you did before. Well, I'd meet my friend at the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, well, are you a morning person? No, I'm not a morning person. Okay, we're setting ourselves up for failure. So there's a lot of things that we can look at. All my friends, they've tried it and it doesn't work. So all of my friends have done it, so you're overgeneralizing. So we start to kind of pick apart those cognitive distortions, and we can clarify that. Rational emotion behavioral therapy, one of the big things he invented was called the ABCs of behavioral modification. So A is an antecedent. Okay, so that means what came before the behavior. B is behavior, and C is consequence. So something happened, I behaved a certain way, and there's a consequence. So that's some more. There's some worksheets that I want to bring that we can all do. We can work on something that we've done that has elicited that kind of response. It's all about choices and consequences, basically. And, when we make the choice, we choose the consequence. So those are just some of the things that I think we can all work on. We can implement those into our life. We're always wanting that, but, we're not clearly defined on what that is. Mm-hmm. And we don't, somebody wants to be successful at real estate. I just want to be successful at real estate. Do you know what it takes to be successful at real estate? Are you willing to do that? And I talk a lot about social media too. We want the fame and fortune, but we really haven't developed any talents. We haven't put the sweat equity in. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that goes into being, and what's funny is the people who are famous and rich and famous, they wouldn't even call themselves that. That's kind of embarrassing. But when that's your main goal, I think, it's up to us to tell people what it takes to do that. Like with personal training, a girl was asking me, how I charge people and how do you bill them, or what price do you use? And I had certain prices I gave her for an individual and for a couple. And, you can charge either, if you get to know people, I mean, you could either bill them up front for the month, or I bill all my clients at the end of the month. So they're paying in arrears and they don't mind it at all. And I know they're going to pay me. But, when you're first starting out, there's a certain way you need to do it. Well, after talking to me, she went ahead and did it the opposite way around, and things weren't working out for her.
And that's something.
Yeah.
Ask for your advice and then doesn't take it.
That's called an ask hole. It's that I love that term. Don't be an ask hole. It's like you ask for me for stuff and it just goes into this bottomless pit.
That's
you don't take the advice.
I'll never forget that. An ask hole. That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. I was going to ask you another question here I had for you. Let's talk about, we were talking about clients and the expectations of a client. This morning, I had a closing with the nicest couple that moved here. And sometimes you don't know what their expectations are. I spent a lot of time over the weekend at their place, helping them get moved. Like I said, they donated a lot of stuff to Wax. And they just kind of were hitting a reset button and starting all over again. And it was the coolest thing to deal with these people. And they were so gracious and so kind.
So you didn't know their expectations of you? Or is that what you're saying?
You don't know what their expectations are. So when I go to closing this morning, I'm thinking, gosh, I hope they're happy. I hope they're happy to be sitting here at this table and knowing that they're moving from this house to this house. I mean, because their life changed a lot. I mean, they sold or consigned every piece of furniture they had.
Wow.
And moved into a place with different furniture. And, I mean, they got rid of a lot of their life stuff right there. Some of it, I think, maybe made them feel free a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But I walked into closing this morning, and they were the happiest people I could tell.
Just a relief.
Just a relief,
Yeah.
and they were so kind. They were just so, so, so kind. So, I mean, it's just sometimes you don't know what the expectations of people are going to be or what they're going to have on you, as their agent.
That's very interesting that you set expectations, because just before I came here, I had a talk with a person that is going into this relationship. And I recommended right off the bat, and I recommend this for anybody if you become good friends with these people you're working with, say, and it might sound weird in the beginning, but it makes sense. If you don't mind, would you tell me what your expectations of me are? As a realtor, tell me what your expectations are, or as a friend. And then I'll tell you what my expectations are. That way we're on the same page. And it really does help to clarify and evaluate where we are, what we expect from each other. I had a person that was going to work out with me twice a week. And I asked him, I said, so what are your expectations? Well, I want to lose weight. I want to get stronger. I want to be more flexible. I want to reduce my body fat composition. And two times a week seeing me, I said, well, that's great. And I wrote it down, luckily. And I said, what we'll do is we're going to get back in 6 weeks, and we're going to see how everything's going. And about 5 weeks, we're going to get back in 8 weeks. About 6 weeks, he said, I think we need to go ahead and have that talk. I said, okay. And we go in my office, and he said, I don't feel like you're helping me with my expectations.
Wow.
And I said, well, I'm glad you feel that way. I said, let me look. I said, you want to increase your strength, reduce body fat, more flexible, and this and that. And I said, now let me ask you this. Do you think it's fair for me to be able to change these for you with 1 hour a week of training? And he said, well, we train 2 hours a week. We train Monday and Friday. I said, no, we train 1 hour a week, because you come in 30 minutes late on Monday.
Oh, my.
And you come in 30 minutes late on Friday.
Oh, my.
And so I am trying so hard.
Kelly, you can't even control what the guy's eating, though,
Well, no.
and the rest of the time.
No, and I told him
That's
2 hours a week, I'm going to depend on, I have expectations, which I gave them to him, which he didn't have. I didn't keep him for very long as a client, but we need to clarify and evaluate. I want to be on the same page here, and I want to be helpful for you, and I want you to be successful. But if you have unrealistic expectations, then you're not going to be happy with me, and I'm probably not going to be happy with you. And
do you ever work out with people that they have these expectations? They want to lose X amount of weight. You put the meal plan out. You put everything out in front of them. You give them everything to do it, but they can't execute or don't execute on it. And they keep coming back. They keep working out with you, but you're looking at them when they walk in the door. Man, you know, if you could just do a little bit of this or do a little of that, that would get more progress here.
You know, that was a big part of me getting into behavioral modification because I had it. I was burnt out. I think my success rate, I think if you ask any trainer, you're probably, and I tell trainers right up front, I don't want you to go in here with unrealistic expectations. You're going to probably have about a 5% success rate. Okay, but you've got to be very proud of that. Now, that's going into it with my expectations. I have high expectations for you to become better. But let me just say that, you know, I give it everything I have. I give you everything that you need to be successful, because one day something may click. But it's very, very hard, and people don't realize how hard it is living in a world of abundance. It is to be able to change your eating habits. But I will tell you that I have 95% that meet, I'm sorry, I have 5% that meet my expectations, but I think I have 100% success in people being better than what they were. And that's because my expectations were way too high. We talked about this. The true secret to happiness is to lower your expectations. I have people now, I've trained people here in Tyler for over 30 years. And some of my 40-year-olds, 60, 70 years old now. And it's amazing to me that I know that I have found the fountain of youth, and it's moving your body. You may not be eating exactly like I'm saying, but you do make small changes, and you're active. You're doing something active for 2 to 3 hours a week. And it's really amazing. I promise you, and I could bring them all on. I've got people that are 70 years old that look better than when they were 40.
Isn't that incredible? That's awesome.
And it is awesome. It's movement. It's using your body. We talked about that a little bit last week. We've got to move, and we're not moving.
I believe it.
Just a little bit. It doesn't take a lot. And you know, are you talking about the what is the biggest payoff you will ever have on any investment? That's 2 hours in yourself a week. Because what good is it if your investments are going wild, you're making all this money, but you're starting to have health problems in your 60s? It's not worth it. Your health is your biggest your biggest wealth product that you can have, and definitely I think you could ask any of the people that I have that are 60, 70 years old. It's really amazing. So, you know, people weren't reaching my expectations, but they're going above and beyond, I think, where they thought they would be. Here they are 20, 30 years later. So start now. It doesn't take much, and be consistent. You know, it's not really important what you do every once in a while. It's important what you do every day. So try to find something that you can continue to do. I know that I can eat the way I eat for the rest of my life. It's just not even a thought for me now.
Have you always eaten that way?
I've eaten this way for 37 years, and I was a horrible eater. I realize that I have this unique trait that if you just tell me what to do, I'll do it. And I've done that at my own health, negative health, because I had somebody tell me what to eat. For my first show, he said he was a nutritionist. He wasn't a nutritionist. And I went from 215 pounds to 165 pounds in 6 weeks. My hair was falling out in the shower. I was malnourished because I did exactly what he told me to do.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought he was an expert. And so, you know, if you're that way, make sure that you're finding out, you know, from someone who is qualified. Yeah. So, excuse me. But, yeah, I mean, if I was going to do real estate, I would have you tell me what to do, and I'd follow it. And guess what? It works.
It works. It works.
Yeah.
Absolutely it does.
Expectations. So, you know, do that you try that. You know, what are your expectations of me? In this hunt for your house, tell me what you expect. You know, and I'm going to write those down because I want to make sure that I reach all of your expectations.
You know, I'm good. Let's just talk about this a second, Kelly. the expectations that I feel like people are looking for when they're getting ready to buy a house on the buyer side is that they want to buy a house. They want to buy it for the best price possible. They want you to represent them and look out for their best interest. If they're needing a loan, they want to get the best loan, shop them around, get the best rate, all those things. But the thing about it is we find sometimes that that's really not what it is, because if you're the expert, just like with you,
Right.
I'm going to believe everything you say about health and fitness. That's why I haven't been able to commit a whole lot to a relationship with you in that area, because I want to, but
I'm just going to come over here.
I'm going to
find out when you're here, and I'm going
Yeah.
to come by.
Yeah, and so, but my husband's wanting to commit to it with you. But
Okay.
but the thing about it is when we work with buyers, for instance, I got a buyer recently that said, "I want you to be our agent." Well, this dude doesn't want to listen to me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to listen to me. I'm supposed to be the expert. I tell him, this is what you're going to pay for this house.
Right.
There's multiple offers on it. This is what you're going to pay if you want this house. He keeps losing the houses. He keeps losing. And hey, Cindi, I don't want to work with you anymore. He don't want to work with me anymore.
Yeah.
So I put him with another agent, and he's running her around, continuing to lose the houses.
The thing is he knows that you're honest,
Mm-hmm.
and you've provided everything you said you would. Okay. I have people come in all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell them, here's the eating plan. Well, I can't do that. You know, well, this is what I know that, well, this is what I need to do. I go, okay, well, then how can I help you today? Right? I mean,
right.
you know this better than I do. So tell me what tell me what your expectations of our meeting is today, because I don't know how to help you. You know, and again, if I clearly define what you're looking for and what you expect of me, when you come up with something different, I go, okay, well, hold on, that wasn't in our original, so I'm going to write that down. You know, you have unrealistic expectations. I know this market. I'm an expert. You know, I always ask, you know, could you, if you don't mind for a second, tell me what you do. You know, and he goes, and this person will say, well, you know, I'm a urologist. Okay. And so I tell you that I shouldn't have done urologist, because that's going to be, let's say a cardiologist. Okay. So I'm a cardiologist. And I say, well, you know, I'm having some heart palpitations, you know. And he goes, well, do you drink caffeine? Well, you need to stop caffeine. Well, no, I know it's not that. Right? So, I mean, you're telling the expert, you're dismissing him, you're minimizing him. And so, I mean, right off the bat, it's got to be a warning sign for both of us. I mean, because I've had some people come in and just lay down, like, you know, let's say $10,000 and say, I want you to be my trainer, and this is what I want. But I know that this person is not going to listen to me, and he's going to be very, argumentative and all this stuff. And look, I paid you good money. He's going to be throwing that in my face. You know, so and I'm sure that you've got that with real estate too, because people are people, and I just know what I'm working with, and so right up front, when I know this, I've got to get as much information down so that we know where we stand. I know what you expect of me, and you know. I know what I expect from you. So that way we can always come back to our note here. You know, I had a guy, his brother was going to move in with him, but he knew he smoked, weed, and he did some other things, and he didn't want him doing that. I said, okay. And he also wanted him to mow the yard once a week for this. I said, you need to go ahead. These are your expectations for him to live with you. He didn't do it. And he started screaming at him when he wasn't doing it. Well, you don't have any paper here. I mean, it makes it a lot easier when it's in writing. These are my expectations of you, and I also want you to sign it. What are your expectations of me? And I'll sign that if we're agreeing on these expectations. That's always really good for any business or any agreement or any relationship, because we know what to expect from each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kelly, as always, it's great to sit down and have a conversation with you. You're so enlightening. One of these days, I'm going to get in the gym with you, though.
We're going to get in there, and you're going to come in here and say, I wish I would have done this sooner.
I agree. I completely agree. So
it's really easy. You know, most people think, after meeting with me, they think that I have them eating too much food, and they think that I don't have them working out enough.
Really?
Right. Because everything we've ever done, we've cut calories, and we've worked out a lot. That's not going to work. I mean, I've been doing this for 37 years. If it would work, I would tell you to do that. And I'll tell you right up front, too, if that's what you're expecting from me, then you need to look for another trainer.
Okay.
It won't get us the right clients, but it won't get us many clients, but it'll get us the right ones.
Yeah. I think I just want to feel better.
Well,
That's really what I want to do is feel better, have more energy, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, you're at a certain tipping point in our lives. When we get to be, what are you, 30?
Of course I am.
When we get to be around 40 or 50, you know, there's still, you can make a lot of changes. But there's a big part when you've been inactive from 20 to 60.
I wouldn't exactly say I've been inactive. I mean, I run big time, a lot of stuff.
And too, if you run on an empty stomach, that could even make it worse.
I probably don't eat enough, but
So,
yes,
yeah.
for sure.
So we can be digging a hole thinking we're doing good, and we're not, you know. And really, less is better. It's something you can continue to do.
Okay.
It's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can do it. We can do
Okay,
it. I know
we'll
we
do
can. I know we can. I'm going to hook you up with my husband, though.
Okay, we'll do that first,
Yeah.
and then he'll kind of lead you in.
He'll lead me into it. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, Kelly, as always, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you,
on
too,
Elevate.
for having me.